Look for it, find it, make it your own. It's the Get Thrifty Podcast.
Hey Thrifties, welcome back to the Get Thrifty podcast brought to you by ARC Thrift Stores. ARC Thrift Stores is a nonprofit thrift store chain, and I am your host, Maggie Civic. We are all about sharing everything that has to do with shopping secondhand. So if you're part of our unique thrift culture, please contact us. We would love to promote your business and your social channels and share your stories and advice with our listeners. You guys know I get very excited about these amazing visitors that we have to the show. Please welcome Rebecca from eBay. I know you guys are like cheering in your car right now. Rebecca Michals is Director of Seller Community and Engagement for eBay US. She leads all seller engagement and community activities, and her team is responsible for key channels, including seller events, seller community forums, seller circles, plus the eBay for Sellers social Instagram. She is passionate about eBay's purpose and the role that eBay plays in building communities and creating economic opportunities for all sellers. Rebecca, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here and talk with you.
This is going to be a lot of fun. We have had many requests over the years from our listeners, like, when are you going to talk to somebody big up in eBay? Let's chat. Let's hear their story. And, I'm obsessed with the marketing. I really think we're going to have a lot in common in terms of, we sit out here from the sellers that are in the thick of it. But really our job together collectively is to create like a safe space for them where they either feel good about sourcing from us and then reselling on your platform. So it's a cool symbiotic relationship, and I'm excited to dive in. So welcome.
I am too. Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Let's start with your social channels. And I know, we can just have it as at eBay, whatever you decide. How can people kind of follow along on your socials as they listen to the podcast today?
Yeah, it's very simple. We are at eBay for Sellers on Instagram, and please come and follow us because the social channel, it's fun, it's educational, and it's a great way to learn what's going on at eBay, what's most important when you're selling on eBay, and also, get to know other sellers there in the comments. Occasionally you might see me show up in a post or in a story talking about cool, fun stuff that we're producing for sellers upcoming. And so, please come give us a follow. We'd love that.
It is a vibrant community. And I think everyone's so engaged and they're like willing to ask questions and, even air their grievances, which they all have to do. Totally get that. But before we get into like the marketing of it all and really what people can expect, from some of your upcoming events and community circles, all of those things, let's start with your origin story. How did you get here? I'm very curious how you found this world because everyone kind of has one. What's yours?
Yeah. Well, I have loved eBay as a brand practically since it started in the 90s. eBay's been around for 30 years. And I started my career in being a community manager for community forums, bulletin boards, as we called them back then. And even back then, there would be conferences for people who were working in the community space. I remember so clearly watching the then leader of the eBay community speaking at one of these conferences. It had to have been like 2001, and just being incredibly impressed at the thoughtful, caring, like customer-focused approach that eBay clearly took to building community. And really, eBay kind of almost invented the idea of having a community for their customers, right? So eBay to me always was this like kind of North Star when it came to being, in the industry of building community for customers. And when I saw the role for this, pretty much the same thing I'm still doing today because I love what I do, I jumped on it. I was like, that is my job. And happily it turned out, it was.
That's so cool. I mean, and really it is interesting that some of these leaders, I have my CEO, I got to know him before I took the job, and the inspiration that some of these leaders, these CEOs are, really sharing with young women. I kind of love that. And then you sign on and you get to grow with them and really, take eBay to the other level. How long have you been with eBay?
It'll be 6 years in April.
Gotcha. So you've seen the changes. You were there during COVID. Interesting. Yeah, that's
absolutely.
always fun. Well, tell us about that.
We don't want to spend too much time on COVID. It was a while ago, but what I will say is it really taught me how the community of eBay sellers and the way that sellers can get together, even in just, only virtual spaces. It's so important for sellers to connect and to support each other. COVID, there was a sense of isolation for some of us, and being able to provide ways for sellers to talk to each other and connect and learn together, it was just incredibly powerful. So I have zero regrets for when I started. I think the uniqueness of it really accelerated my understanding of what's it like to sell as a business seller on eBay, and the importance of the work that my team does.
It's so interesting that many people that have come on this podcast talk about it being somewhat isolating and a lonely thing to do. Reselling can be quite lonely. We provide the store, and it's so fun to see when other resellers find each other in a thrift store. It's like, the heavens have parted. And it's sort of the same way for eBay with some of the engagement tools that you guys use. Can you kind of share with us those ways in case somebody's new to eBay and they don't know all the resources that you provide for community? Can you walk us through some of that?
Yeah, absolutely. And our strategy is to try and provide many different ways for sellers to connect with each other, because some people, they're more comfortable at home behind a computer, and so they can connect together in our online forums at community.ebay.com. Literally millions of people there answering questions for each other, asking questions, and it helps you to sort of access everything that you need to know, and most importantly, expertise from other sellers. And then, some people, they want to get out of the house. They want to have that in-person conversation. And so we have what we call seller circles. There was a time when we would have called them meetups. And the wonderful thing about those is we have meetups, both virtual, but more importantly, in person, all around the country, like even in rural locations where you might think there's no other eBay sellers anywhere near me. There actually are. There's sellers who are in, North Dakota and, very small towns, and all over Florida and Michigan and all over the place. So there's seller circles, and being able to get out, go out to an evening conversation with 8, 10, 20, 40 other sellers is incredibly empowering. I've been in the room, I've seen it happen. It's so cool to watch. Then, of course, we have our social channels, and that's just, again, fun, education. We already spoke about that, so I won't dwell. And then, frankly, the most exciting parts are when we do the events that we host. We do virtual events. We also do some in-person events. This year, we are launching monthly webinars all about specific topics. There's something for everyone throughout the year. There's always an opportunity to learn. And the chat absolutely goes off with sellers talking to each other.
They can't be held back.
Friends. Yes. You know what? Let's be honest. Telling us what's not working for them, which is it's so incredibly valuable to hear from sellers how we can help them and how we can do better. But just watching folks connect with each other, that's why I come to work every day, to help sellers get that connection that helps them power their business.
Yeah, and they can sell more in that way. I love when they're sharing best practices. And let me tell you, I get all the feedback from the thrift stores. It can be a lot. They don't hold back, though. The honesty, I kind of value. Just tell me like it is, let me know what I'm doing wrong and how I can do better. So I love that eBay is kind of creating a space for that. And if, let's say, and I'm hoping I've got like a rural listener out there in North Dakota who's, experiencing this, how would they find that circle? What's the best way to do that?
The URL is sellerevents.ebay.com. So you navigate to the seller events page, and you'll see the opportunity to click into and check out eBay seller events, which are those webinars that we host, or the seller circles. And there are lists and lists of upcoming events all over the country. There's a San Antonio one coming up, Columbia, and you can explore by region and get connected with other sellers.
Okay, shout out San Antonio. We're opening a store there this year. I'm very excited. We're going to Texas this year. This will be our third state. So if you're listening and you're in San Antonio, please reach out. Maybe we can give a space to host that meetup. Who knows? So if there's someone who's like,
that would be great.
Okay. If there's somebody who's like out there going, oh, I want to host one of these, I have lots of connections, can they reach out through the same channel to get that going?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a button on that page that says start a seller circle. And here's the important thing to know. You do not have to be the most expert 20-year seller at all to host a seller circle. We just want you to have a passion for helping sellers connect with each other. And some organizational skills so that you'll make sure that a meeting happens on some sort of regular schedule that local
Sure.
people can anticipate. So yeah, like anyone who just has a passion would love to get to know sellers in their area. We have a whole onboarding flow. We've got information to help you. We help you talk with other folks who have experience running these groups. And so we make it so easy. All you have to do is have a passion for bringing folks together and a passion for eBay.
And I love that you said you don't have to be one of these OG eBayers. Although we respect those folks, we've got this new level of, Gen Z coming in. I'm so excited about them. I hear stories from, college gals that are in their dorm rooms reselling Lululemon on eBay and making six figures. These great stories of people who are just doing really amazing things. They're young and they're hungry. Can you kind of speak to what you've seen from your end of eBay and this influx of young people finding reselling and, changing their lives in some cases?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we know is that re-commerce is really important to Gen Z, right? And in fact, younger generations are leading the charge on secondhand spending and buying and selling as well, right? And so many of this Gen Z generation are expecting that they're going to buy more pre-loved items this year. And who's selling them those items? Also Gen Z. There's this guy, Jude. Jude, actually, I love his story because he started selling on eBay just when you're allowed to when you're 13, and he used birthday money to flip a $1 book, and he was hooked, absolutely hooked. And now he has this huge business, but it's all based on reselling, and it's all based on what we like to call re-commerce. And just watching the way that Gen Z is so committed to re-commerce, both because it's economically viable and also it's environmentally motivated. And eBay is a perfect marriage of those both.
Yeah. I mean, and this is kind of a new phrase. I thought it was a typo when I got my talk track. I was like, re-commerce. I called my producer. She was like, no, this is like a turn of phrase. So for maybe
Yeah.
someone who's new to this phrase, can you walk us through, the combo of these words and what it really means?
Yeah, it's really, just putting a word, a phrase around the idea of that it's not just commerce, it's re-commerce. It's not transactional, it's being a part of a community. It's about the purpose around the buying and selling of secondhand items. It helps them express their personal style. And so, yeah, it's the re-commerce cycle. And we've learned a lot from a recent report that we put out to know how important re-commerce is to sellers and buyers today.
Yeah, I love this. It does add a level of purpose, which I do think young people, especially, they care about what they're doing to the environment
Yeah.
and, their footprint. Can
Mhm.
you speak to, people's newfound, I mean, not newfound, I'd say that old school eBayers have cared about sustainability for, generations, but thoughts on sustainability surrounding your mission?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, it's about both providing a place for value and values, right? And what we know is that 68% of sellers say that they feel great about giving items a second life. And buyers have sustainability as a top reason for buying pre-owned too.
And that actually brings up, you guys have this vast network where you can do these deep studies. Can
Yeah.
you tell us any more about people's thinking surrounding sustainability and it becoming more prevalent in their decision-making processes?
Yeah, it's really about the money that they can save. Price is not only the driver, but it is about the money that they can save. But it's about sustainability as well. Like almost half of buyers on eBay say that their top
Wow.
reason for buying pre-owned is about sustainability, is
Wow.
about
It's
giving
huge.
items that second life, right?
Mhm.
And so what we know is that this is an important way of shopping and buying, and it's also really important to sellers as well.
Yeah. And I mean, so you're focused on the seller experience, which I
I
love
am.
that because that's really, but what about that consumer experience? Is there a whole, this is random, just popped into my head. So I've got to ask, does eBay have like a whole other division dedicated to the buyers too?
Yeah, absolutely. But
Wow.
we work hand in hand because it's really about the community of buyers and sellers. And so we
Mhm.
don't look at just buyers, just sellers. We really think about the way that, buyers and sellers build community through their shopping together and those behaviors. And, sellers buy and buyers sell. So it's
Interesting.
really, one kind of person coming together.
Yeah.
I am focused on sellers and business sellers specifically, but that's not all that I think about. And all of us at eBay are charged with thinking about the community of buyers and sellers.
Yeah, yeah. That's fascinating because when I first started here, I've been with ARC for, going on 15 years. We really siloed, like there's donors and then there's buyers, right? Shoppers, donors and
Yeah.
shoppers. But now we really look at them as a community as well. Most people who donate also buy, the buyers also donate. It's
Yeah.
it's fascinating. And I guess that's a little philosophical question for you. Like, what do you think has changed in our society that people are comfortable with this? There used to be this taboo associated with it. What do you think happened?
The taboo with selling and buying online.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
people
think eBay
being,
happened.
yeah, there you go.
I
You
think
guys might be responsible for the whole movement.
I'm laughing, but it's actually true. Like
It's
I've
true.
been online since back in the days of like AOL chat rooms. So I'm aging myself here. And there was a long time when, there was a question of, can you trust the person on the other side of the screen? And what eBay did, the magic that eBay brought to that early internet was demonstrating that there is trust between two sides of a screen. On a two-sided marketplace like this, a buyer has to trust the seller has to trust the buyer, and eBay has always been focused on reinforcing that trust, whether it was, starting reviews long ago and ratings, or now when we have like authentication on, some of our categories and the higher end items.
Mhm.
Reinforcing trust is the way that you build community and help people feel comfortable in, putting a check in the mail back in 1999 or going through our payment system today, right?
Yeah, it's fascinating. It has changed. And that's a good segue to the AI tools. How is
Mhm.
eBay kind of, harnessing this new technology and bringing it to life for buyers and sellers?
Yeah, so AI is such a huge topic
Mhm.
everywhere you turn. Like you can't open a newspaper. Well, one doesn't open a newspaper. One, you can't open your phone without reading something about AI. And we are leveraging AI to help sellers grow their businesses. One of the main ways is simplifying that listing experience.
Mhm.
Also using AI to help sellers reach new buyers, more buyers, and making sure that when buyers and sellers have to communicate with each other, that it's really seamless. And I'm going to blow your mind because 10 million individual sellers have used our AI features to
Wow.
date,
Wow.
and they're creating almost 500,000 new listings every day with AI. So AI is here. And if there's any advice that I could give, it's for sellers to learn the right AI tools for their business, for their comfort level, let's be frank, and figure out how to leverage this amazing new technology to accelerate their business and meet their goals.
Yeah, it's got to be making it easier for the seller to list more efficiently and effectively. Is that what you're seeing?
It is. And I mean, I sell too. And it has gotten so much easier, even in the, let's say the 6 years that I've been selling on eBay, and definitely compared to back in the day. It it's much easier now. And I personally also, I love the AI descriptions. The
Mm.
magic descriptions are fantastic. I know some of your listeners are screaming right there now. They can be a little controversial, but I love having a starting place and then going in and refining to make sure that everything is accurate, that I'm not going to get an item not as described. And I love the AI listings because like my job is a writer, but I have to admit that AI nails it a lot of the time.
Oh yeah, it makes things more concise. I use it for polishing all sorts of things.
Yep,
It's so fascinating. And like you said, harness the tool, make it work for
exactly.
you to make it
Yep.
easier and more efficient. So
Yeah.
you kind of said that you're a reseller. Can you share with us like what's your genre? What kind of things are you into? What's your
Yeah.
vibe?
I'm an anything that sells seller.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Absolutely. And, I do tend to choose items that are easily shippable because when I ship, I try to ship through USPS so I can just take my QR code in, boop, and make it's really seamless that way. I really like it. And let's see, yeah. So as an example, a couple of things I just listed. One is a seed starter kit because it's spring, right? So I
Oh
figure
yeah.
people are looking to like start seeds right now.
Mhm.
And then my husband had the tripod that he was just like not using. And I was like, I'm going to sell that.
Get it out of
So
here. Yep.
yeah,
Move the
yeah,
stuff. That's
exactly.
exciting. Now, in terms of marketing, I'd love to chat a little bit about this because I remember, and it may have been last year, I saw an eBay commercial. I literally jumped out of my seat because I saw an influencer that you were using that I know, that I'm sure we've had on the
Mhm.
pod. And I was just like, I love this. We love to utilize our influencers for our thrift store. I love it when someone's filming in my store. Can you talk about kind of the journey of including these sellers as your influencers and how they help you to market eBay?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the amazing thing about influencers is the influencer thing has matured. Everybody knows that influencers are getting paid, and everyone has said, this is fine. I understand that there is a transaction happening there, but they also know that influencers choose companies that they truly believe in, that they can speak to with authenticity.
Yeah.
And that's really what we're tapping into. It's one thing for me to come on here and tell sellers how to get started and here's tips and tricks and that they should come to our events. But hearing it from a seller who is in the trenches, is experienced, who they already follow, they already like in some way and engage with, that's when what it goes from truth to like passion to believable, right? And we also just love working with our influencers. There are, sellers who they start as eBay sellers, they get really experienced, and the way that they grow their business, in addition to optimizing their selling on eBay, they also start to tell their eBay story,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram. And we love seeing that happen because,
Mm-hmm.
again, that just reinforces the community. You're not alone. There are other sellers who are here to help you and to talk to you about like the best way to sell.
Mm-hmm.
And I think influencers fit perfectly with the way that we think about the community of buyers and sellers.
Absolutely. And I love when I see like eBay tagged in something. I mean, that's so cool because then I'm like, oh, they're an actual seller. They're willing to say this out loud and tag
Yeah.
eBay. I get the same, warm feeling when they tag ARC thrift stores too. Please do it, guys, when you're out in my stores or whatnot. But I love that this influencer thing, I got to tell you, it kind of reinforces and gives some validity to our use of this. So yay,
Hmm.
we're doing the right things at a local thrift store. If eBay is doing it, then it must be working. I love this concept of meetups and, really bringing the community together to do the right things. If somebody's new to reselling or just getting their feet wet, advice, thoughts, how would you approach reselling?
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, the best advice is to just start selling. There's no way to build expertise that is like just getting out there and doing it. Know that you might take a couple of hits on having to, I don't know, pay a little too much for shipping, a little more than you were anticipating, or, maybe you sell something and you can't find it in your bin. These things happen. We don't want them to happen. Like follow us for best practices, but like take those hits and keep on selling and you will build expertise really quickly. I mean, the thing about eBay, and it's just magical, there's no barrier to entry. We provide a platform. Anyone who has the access to the internet and a phone can start selling in literally minutes. And
Mm.
Like you probably, everyone listening who hasn't started selling, they're like the average household. They probably got $3,000, maybe $4,000 worth of items that's sitting in their closets. Maybe it's a tripod that their husband never uses, and those are worth selling, right?
Hmm.
And look, a lot of our sellers start out just looking to make some extra money and then eventually grow into full businesses, side hustles, that sort of thing. We have so many tools. We have so many ways to help brand new sellers get started. But I think what's most helpful is like the tips that sellers share with each other, right? Like there's a seller, Caitlin. Yeah, it was Caitlin who told me that like one of the best ways to sell on eBay is explore the thrift stores in your area and not just Goodwill. Most areas have so many thrift stores and you have to like cast a wide net. I personally like going to my local Habitat for Humanity restore to see what's interesting there. People can come to ARC thrift stores, which is like why you're here. And so cast that wide net. Then the other thing is sell what you know. Like I am a anything that sells seller, but don't go put a whole bunch of inventory into golf clubs if you've never golfed, right? Even if you think that they're a hot item. And it's really about expertise and practice. But eBay makes it really easy. And I mean, the proof is in how many millions of sellers that we have in the US on eBay. They get up, they get running, they get started on eBay. And so many people are building success and have economic opportunity because they decided to sell something out of their closet.
And you told us about Caitlin, and I think you said the other one was Jude. Do you have like a wow story like that? Oh my gosh, I can't believe you won't believe it kind of story about one of your sellers that just blew your mind?
I I think, well, we talked about social channels. So there's a seller, Kendall, who I'm just such a fan of. We did a video of her not too long ago, maybe last year, a year before. And she's a millennial who started in 2022. So a relatively new seller. She grew into a full-time business by 2024. And the majority of her income comes from that business, but she also has become a content creator. So it is that sort of development that I talked about. We use her as an influencer now. She has 15,000 followers on TikTok. Go follow her if you're listening to me. Style Secondhand. But the important thing about Kendall is how she's, followed this exact experience that is available and accessible to anyone who just wants to start selling. You can do it, and it's so exciting to watch.
It is fun. And I know you're an anything sells kind of girl, but do you have that one item, like that unicorn item that you're most proud of that maybe you've sold that you can tell our listeners about?
Yeah, it's not that snazzy, but my kids are grown. My son's 21st birthday is next week, and
Oh,
I sold. I know,
tearjerker.
it goes so fast. When he was small, selling lots of children's clothing was like the hot thing to do on eBay, and I feel like I haven't seen that. Well, I haven't looked for children's clothing in a long time, but selling and buying lots, boxes of like 10 shirts plus 10 pants plus 3 pairs of shoes all in one box. And the sale that will never leave me is boxing up his toddler
Oh,
clothes and selling them to
so
someone.
sad.
And I actually did like it's a warm feeling because some other little boy out there wore a couple of like his favorite clothing ever. And I love the idea that someone else was able to give those items new life, enjoy seeing their sweet little baby in them. And it almost felt like paying it forward, giving back two directions, but it was a great feeling. And I'll never forget boxing that up, taping it. It's sold and shipping it off.
Yeah, and I love that you said giving it, a new life, a next chapter for these little
Yeah.
clothing items.
Yeah.
So what can we look forward to? We're going to follow all your socials. What's the big thing that we can look forward to in terms of like an upcoming event or conference that maybe people need to look forward to as they're booking their summer trips, which I can't believe, spring trips, summer trips, right around the corner.
Yeah, absolutely. We are really excited about these webinars that we are producing. And again, they're going to be absolutely monthly. They're going to have great content. And the thing that we love about virtual connection is that it's available to anyone. You know, you don't have to travel. You don't have to put your store on vacation mode. In fact, you can still be listing while you're also watching the content because we all second screen, right? And I'm really excited. It's expanding our digital footprint of virtual events versus what we did last year. And so I hope everyone will tune into them. I'm really looking forward to that.
And can they expect that you'll be on some of these if they want to reach out and find you?
I absolutely will. Yep. They should see me welcoming folks at the beginning of each one. And honestly, like kicking off these events and just, again, watching sellers learn from each other, learn from eBay experts, learn from the sellers that we invite to speak. I think it might be one of the favorite parts of my job.
Oh, cool. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Something that makes it rewarding to go to bed at night, and connecting people is a great reason. And you
Yeah.
shared with us Style Secondhand. Anybody else we should be following on social that's like, your favorite content these days?
I have a soft spot in my heart for a seller named Ken.
Ooh.
And he is he's a sneaker seller who I think.
Hustlebee. Yes.
Yes,
Love it.
exactly. You knew exactly who I meant.
It's so funny.
And
They become famous,
yeah, and he is just a hoot. And I've had the pleasure of speaking with him a couple of times, but I know so many sellers, and each one of them are special. I almost feel bad about giving a shout out just to a couple, but there's a lot of sellers who have spent a lot of time helping us know what's important to sellers, to educating other sellers, and we appreciate every single one of them who give time back to their community.
Yeah. And you're open to the positive feedback, but how you can
Yeah.
improve. And I think
Always.
saying that out loud on our podcast is important to our listeners. So we're grateful for that. And I always say that this podcast is devoted to normalizing secondhand, but eBay, you're the originators of this entire concept. So thank you for your service to our industry. We're very grateful.
Thank you for selling on eBay. I mean, we love what we do, but it's because we allow all of your listeners, all of the sellers achieve their dreams and their ambitions for their business, whether it's, just walking around money or, building to $1 million business. That's what we get to help do. And so thank you to you.
That's exciting.
Privilege.
$1 million businesses, you guys.
Yeah.
If this isn't inspirational, I don't know what is. And as we end every pod, I love to give a shout out to my personal vintage queen, one Miss Dolly Parton. And I'm so excited, Rebecca, because you had a pre-warning on this, but thoughts, feelings, anything you'd like to say to her about Dolly Parton?
Dolly Parton is our queen, and she must be protected at all costs.
Love that.
This actually is an eBay story. When I was small, maybe about 11, my mother and I had a favorite album that we listened to over and over, which is Trio by Dolly Parton, Emmylou Harris, and Linda Ronstadt.
Yes, an eagle when she flies. Yes.
I cannot tell you how much I love this album. You can probably hear it in my voice. So, and I we had it on vinyl, and then I know I had a tape that I literally wore out. Years and years later, I didn't have a copy anymore, and my husband bought a record player. I'm like, oh, well, we need records. And the first thing I did is I went on eBay and I found a vintage Trio vinyl record so that I could listen to my favorite album with Dolly Parton again.
I'm going to tell you that is a deep cut. No one has ever, we've been doing this podcast for 6 years and I've had some wild Dolly stories, but Trio is a very deep cut. Love it. Obsessed that you know that. Amazing. Yeah. Nice work.
Yay.
Thank you for playing along. We do
Absolutely.
this as a, homage to my personal hero, but sometimes the stories I get to hear blow my mind. So thank you for that. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And thanks so much for your time today. You're an absolute delight. Let our listeners once again know how they find you, follow you, and give you all the love, and start selling on eBay, guys. Worth a shot.
Yeah, absolutely. Please follow us on Instagram at eBay for Sellers. Come to our events page, which is sellerevents.ebay.com. Join the community at community at ebay.com, and come to our events, and you'll see me virtual and in person. And I look forward to every time I get a chance to know sellers or watch sellers getting to know each other.
The best part.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, Rebecca. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm so happy I got to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Finally, yes. I know everyone's still like in their cars right now. I'm going to get texts as soon as this airs. They're going to be like, Maggie, you finally got her. So thank you for your
That's
time.
great.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
And Thrifties, thanks so much for tuning in once again to the Get Thrifty podcast. Reminder, save our pod and leave a 5-star review about how funny, creative, and smart we are. And if you're part of our unique thrift culture and you'd like to be on, we'd love to chat with you. You can find me on Instagram at Podcast with Maggie. And as always, please follow ARC on Instagram at ARC Thrift, and now on TikTok at ARC Thrift Stores, and of course, YouTube at ARC Thrift. Thanks so much and have a wonderful week.
Hunt for it, find it, make it your own. It's the Get Thrifty Podcast.